Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting we are doing today is a study called River Glow, and it's a 5 by 5 inch study. Actually, it's a little short of 5 by 5. It's actually 4 3/4 inches high. I don't know what happened. I think my friend at the place where I work, I think I marked the board incorrectly and it was cut too small, but yeah, I did them anyway, and they still tend to fit in a 5 by 5 frame, especially if I stick a little piece of blue tack on the bottom. But this painting is a result of one of my trip, and this is based on a bit of reference I took, and you would not believe if you were to go to the place where I shot the reference, you would not believe this painting was generated from it, because basically the reference is being used as a catalyst for the painting and for my imagination, and I'm doing that more and more. I find the issue I have with painting strictly from the imagination is that there's only like 3 or 4 internal compositions that I have, and all those I just keep using over and over. But I think maybe, I've only been doing this for about 9 years, 8 years now, so maybe after 20 or 30 years I'll have I'll be like a Georgia Ness with this intense internal vocabulary that I can draw upon. Although Ines did use sketches of his friends, and he liked to paint over the top of other people's paintings, and he liked to get, in fact he was quite interested in getting that initial stimulus from some other place than his imagination, but once he got started with it, his imagination would take over, and that's an example that I do my best to follow. And of course, he was a very, very famous painter, and so there's a good amount written about him, certainly more than some of the other painters from his time, but that's offset by the fact that he was a very enigmatic fellow, and for that reason we don't know as much about his processes as we might like to, since he was very eclectic and kind of high-strung. He was always moving very quickly and doing things in a impulsive way, of course married to an intensely penetrating intellect, so it worked for him. It worked great, and I can only hope to sort of aspire to that level of greatness in my own work. So today is Christmas. It's here in New Zealand. We're one day ahead of the rest of you, where it's Christmas Eve. Today is Sunday, December 25th, and I'll be squeezing out one more of these before the year's over, and that'll be next Saturday, which will be my New Year's Eve, and that'll be one of our 25 days of tonalism, and hopefully you've been following those. I'm sure to people following my YouTube channel or my blog, they pretty much just tune in and see what's there, but it's been a bit more work for me to do of these a week. However, I really enjoy doing the tonalist studies, and I think that they really help and inform my own work, so it just feels right to share those, and which requires some effort to do right. I mean, I could just throw it up there and not do a blog post or anything, and who knows, we may end up modifying that at some point. I don't know. I get a bit more activity on YouTube than I do on my blog, but what I like about the blog is that it's linear. It's the kind of thing where you can like a diary, sort of scroll down through the years and see where things are at. It's a bit more like a book too, I guess. And I this time last year I was definitely planning on doing a book on paint. At least, well, some would argue I don't exactly paint in a tonalist manner, but it's close enough for modern purposes. But I was going to do a book, on painting in a tonalist way, and I sort of backed off of that because, well, for one, I had some pretty big shows coming up, and for two, I still have a big show coming up at the museum here in Northland, New Zealand. So it's actually the largest museum just north of Auckland itself, which is the biggest city in the country. So it's something I really looking forward to doing. Some awesome work there and getting some. I don't know how much exposure I'll get, but a museum show is always a good thing. If you're an artist, it gives you some gravitas, so to speak, and so much of this art world seems to be perception and things like that. So it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. And let's see, how's things been going in the studio? I've actually been selling quite a lot of paintings recently, so I'm pretty happy about that, and hopefully it'll continue. This is a good time of year for me because it's the tourist season here in New Zealand, and those are the sort of folks that tend to buy paintings while they travel and things. They have the money set aside to blow, and it's always appreciated. And just hope it continues because I love basically closing the circuit. I have a lot of nice paintings around, and it's always awesome to know that they're in someone's home being enjoyed. And I guess I put out there to any of you that are interested in any of these studies, if I have it, to still have an inventory. Well, the studies or the larger paintings, just contact me, and I'll make you some kind of deal. But it's fine if you don't. I really, actually, I gave up being a commercial artist. My goodness, 7 years ago now, and I don't regret it. I don't regret that one bit. Especially after having such a big taste of it, of harnessing my creativity and my talent to commerce. I'm not dissing anyone that has to do it. In fact, it was my dream to do it for years, and it was a dream that came true for me, and I would not trade that experience for the world. However, I love making art just for the sake of it, just for the sake of creating something beautiful. And I don't know actually what we're going to talk about in our blog post today. I think that's a topic that I had written down, but we'll see. I'm playing it by ear. I'm winging it. We did get a blog post up yesterday and a video for day 6 of 25 Days of Tonalism. A pretty neat painting by a guy named Leon Roche. So hopefully you've checked it out already, and if you haven't, as soon as you're done with this, I will say that it's kind of nice doing my own thing after these 25 Days of Tonalism, because it's a lot more work to do the 25 Days of Tonalism, because I've got to chase down links and information about the artist who I'm doing a study after, and it's just a bit more work as far as putting the posts and videos together. Not that I'm complaining or anything, but it's even easier to just plain wing it 100% on my own stuff, which is what I like to do. I like to wing it 100%. And God knows if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't really be able to do it, because there's certainly no money in this YouTubing thing, and I just basically do it for the love of sharing my art and information with the world, and trying to give something back to the world. What else can I say? Anyway, I guess a little bit more. We've got a few more minutes here. A bit about the study. I'm really pretty happy with it. It's got this river going up through the middle, which kind of draws you through this. I have everyone that knows my work knows I love these tunnels in the trees. And this is a case where you have sky coming through the center of the tunnel, but also up above. And I'm real happy with this painting, and I'm very happy with the larger version, which will be thrown at you next week, basically on the New Year's Day. So that's something to look forward to and check out. And as far as what I've been doing in the studio, last couple of days I've just been working on what I'm calling 25 more days of tonalism, which are some subjects that I've, what I like about that is I can kind of get in and do it real quick. It's not much commitment. It's because, I have a sort of attitude like I'm just studying and creating and learning there when I do this. Anyway, I can see we're getting close to the end. If you'd like to see more of my work, go to landscapepainter.co.nz. Check it out. You can follow the blog there. There's a few new paintings on the homepage. And it's the place for all things M. Francis McCarthy. We'll see you next week. And meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.